6 years ago, I was really dealing with back pain every single day. But my issues started way before that. I remember the first time I hurt my back. I was about 22 years old. I was playing basketball and I reached down for a bounce pass. For those people who know basketball, bounce the ball. It's a low pass, so I had to get really low. And my back just gave out. I just fell to the floor. I couldn't stand. I was crawling around on the ground. And really, for 2 days, my girlfriend had to help me with everything. Even eating was tough. Like I couldn't get up to the table, so I had to eat from the floor. It was pretty embarrassing. But that's just where I was at the time. And sadly enough, this continued into my college basketball career. I had to get athletic therapists to do manual therapy on me before and after every single game, and literally after every practice as well. It was truly insane when I think back of it. From that point on, about every 6 months to a year, I would throw my back out again. And each time I'd go through the same cycle of pain and frustration. Before, men's leagues games, I had to warm up for about 30 minutes on the sidelines. Otherwise, I would literally risk injury just to play, right? My friends and teammates, they would literally make fun of me. Right? If I showed up late, I would miss half the game because I would have to do these warm-ups. But it wasn't until I was about 35 years old that it got really bad. That's when I got sciatica for the first time. And it was just unbelievable. I've never felt pain like that in my life. I remember waking up that morning, standing up, and just the electric jolt shooting down my leg. It was unbelievable. Uh, Literally, my body was telling me something is really wrong. But crazy enough, I didn't listen. I was like, I got to get ready. I got to start my day. So I remember being in the shower, crippled over, like it kept pulling me down because there was so much pain. Like it was so intense. And I was truly in shock. I wasn't accepting what was happening. And I was just pushing through, pretending like I was just going to go out and start my day. Oh, it was just normal back pain. It was pretty crazy when I think back of it. It got bad that, my girlfriend at the time was obviously worried about me. I couldn't sleep and I had to find a solution. So we ended up making a bed on the floor in the corner of the room with pillows and blankets. And literally, regardless of where I was, I slept on the floor for about 6 months or more. I remember one time I was traveling to China for work. Now you can imagine the plane ride itself was a disaster, tons of medications just to get through that. And then when I got there, I was staying at this like best hotel I've ever stayed at, 5-star hotel. And I had to make a bed on the floor. And I remember this, hiding it from my coworkers and my colleagues, because it was embarrassing. Like it was really something I like had a lot of shame around. And there's tons of other moments like that. I mean, everything from going out to eat with friends and sitting on one side of my butt because it hurt too much to sit on both sides just to balance out the pressure on that sciatic nerve. And just those moments were like some of the worst because I'm trying to pretend that everything's okay, but it wasn't. For a long time, I would sit on the floor when I would go to friends' houses because the couch hurt too much. The sofa was too much. And, you know, it was just one of those things I had to avoid because the pain was too much. Oddly enough, it turned out to be somewhat of a blessing in disguise because it got me to something called ground-based living, which turned out to be part of the exploration process that I went through that helped me get out of that stuck position I was in. That ground-based living got me out of that seated position that is part of the problem, which we'll talk more about in a bit. At that time, I was stuck in a cycle of pain and I tried everything doctors, chiropractors, when I got my MRI, physical therapist. I had braces, back braces. Here you can see me so I sent a picture to my friend in 2018. I'm in an inversion table, but it really all these things didn't solve the problem, right? I thought I had to push harder through the pain. It only made things worse. And I remember really lying on the floor one time like on my stomach. I'd always lie on my stomach on my phone. I would just search for YouTube, look for workouts. And I was just like, this cannot be my life because I just wanted to be the active, pain-free person I was before. Right now, I was scared to do movements, and I had this sciatic pain that was just consistent. And it wasn't just the physical pain; it was the feeling of being helpless. Right? I think we all can identify with that feeling of being helpless. I couldn't do what I loved. I loved to play sports, spend time with family, friends, just sit comfortably. Like it hurt my body, of course, but my spirit, everything about me I was a shell of myself. And I really felt like I had lost control of my life. And so my breakthrough moment wasn't one moment. It was literally a slow realization that realistically I was doing too much. And it wasn't from a lack of effort that I was failing, but my body needed healing. And I kept pushing against that healing. I needed to work with my body and use the right movements so that I could actually get better. And once I started listening, things started changing. So I started learning, reading, working with coaches, trainers, and I started to develop a new approach. One that was centered around natural functional movements that aligned with how our bodies are meant to move. And understanding that it wasn't about doing more. And that's the key. It really wasn't about doing more, but it was about doing better. So I focused on small, consistent changes. I started moving smarter, not harder. And really, moments like constantly shifting in restaurant seats or lying on the hotel floor, those things truly taught me to listen to my body. And things like getting dressed, lying down, putting my pants on, they showed me that I wasn't addressing the root of the pain. This was probably one of the biggest breakthrough things that I ever did is I realized that things had to change and I need to stay consistent. So what I put on my phone screen and on my computer screen was literally never take your health for granted. All right. I needed that reminder so that I just kept doing what I was doing. And eventually my pain started to disappear. It all started to add up. Mobility returned. I felt stronger. And now I'm 42. That all happened 6 years ago. And I feel better now than I did in my 30s. I can play sports without long warm-ups. In the morning, I'm really ready to go. Like I can get up and I can just make things happen. And that's why I'm here. I want to share everything that I've learned and help you get out of pain and take back control.